discussion is advised that some content may result in nightmares. Watch at your own risk, kid. Hello everybody, welcome back to the video. Today, we are going to be starting a new series called Freaky Friday. Well, yeah, Freaky Friday, or FF. You might have seen it already in my Discord. So, if you did, then you should probably know what it is. We react to scary clips sent in by you guys, and one clip that I may decide to watch on my own without anybody sending it in. So, if you want to see more, subscribe, like the video, and yeah, let's get into it. So this one's called Four Short True Scary Stories. This is sent in to us by our dear friend Pineapple Cake 23. Amazing friend, and I really hope that this is gonna be good. So we're gonna be reacting to it. Well, obviously, no duh. Yeah, we're gonna be reacting to it. That's what we're gonna be doing. But four true scary stories made by Mr. Nightmare. So Mr. Nightmare, don't copyright claim me, please. Alright? I'm just here to react to it, alright? Sent in by a friend. Please do not copyright claim me. I would hate that. So I just want to react to it, alright? And same with everybody else I'm gonna watch. I just want to react to it. So yeah.
It was a Friday or a Saturday night. I was pre-gaming with...
He kind of sounds like the narrator to Llama Arts, just by the way, which I'm pretty sure he is. But I'm not 100% sure on that. Let me know down in the comments below. Also, subscribe and like the video, because yes.
Some friends at my apartment before going out to a bar in town. One of my friends called the Uber, and we were all pretty drunk, laughing and being loud with typical drunken banter. We got to the bar, and no line that night, surprisingly. At some point in the night, I asked for a girl's number who I'd been talking to. When I went into my pocket to get my phone, I realized I didn't have it on me. I checked all my pockets and confirmed this. I tried retracing my steps in the bar and asked each bartender if someone turned in a phone. I didn't remember even using my phone the whole time I'd been out though. I stepped outside the bar with one of my friends to use his phone to call mine. Someone picked up on the other end. I heard the fiddling of the phone, but they didn't say anything. I said, "Hi, where'd you find this phone?" Just breathing on the other end. I think they were at the bar, but they hung up on me. I looked at my friend and tried calling again. Went straight
Oh, by the way, this is completely inspired by Curious Kenshin. Shout out to you.
voicemail though. I tried using Find My iPhone, but apparently I had that feature switched off for some reason. This was a pretty sobering experience. There was no way I could have fun knowing my phone was stolen. My friends told me just worry about it tomorrow. Go to the police station and get their help in tracking it. I went home early that night. I put a couple slices of bread in the toaster before bed and found my phone on the kitchen counter.
Oh, yo,
Didn't
somebody's
make
in his
sense.
house.
I signed into it and checked my recent calls. And indeed, someone accepted the call and it lasted for 25 seconds.
Ooh.
Someone had been in my apartment to accept the call. That much was clear. I flipped the place upside down looking, screaming for whoever it was to come out from where they were hiding. Of course, this had a lot to do with the liquid confidence from drinking so much that night. I finally called the cops, but considering there was no real proof of any forced entry, and places to hide are basically non-existent in this apartment, they couldn't do anything besides a police report.
Oof.
Nothing seemed to be missing from my apartment, but going to sleep that night, knowing someone had been in my apartment, or even worse, might possibly have still been in there with me, was probably the most uncomfortable night of my life.
No, not an ad! Get out of here! God, I absolutely hate ads, dude. I hate them so much. Oh my gosh. Alright. Dude, I hate ads. They're like the worst thing ever to exist, dude. I'm so happy.
I was 17 years old, and this happened on a late summer night. My dad and little brother had gone to a Boy Scout campout. My dad was one of the Scoutmasters. I was home alone with my mom for the weekend. She was
I
already
did
in
not
bed
mean to
at this
pause
point.
it.
It was about 2 in the morning, and I was just finishing up my late night gaming. I had to go to the bathroom one more time before going to sleep, though. While sitting on the toilet playing games on my phone, I heard the faintest little tap on the bathroom door. "Mom, was that you?" "Mom," I yelled. It wasn't windy or anything. There didn't seem to be any logical way to dismiss it. I slowly and nervously opened the door, but there was nobody there. However, my bedroom door was now shut. I was certain I hadn't shut it.
Uh-oh.
I went over to my mom's room and told her that I thought somebody was in my room. She didn't take me seriously and told me that she didn't know what to tell me. I tried to convince myself that maybe I did shut my door. I opened my door feeling extremely freaked out, and when I snuck a peek into the room, I felt like my heart exploded inside of my chest. I could see a hand sticking out from behind the dresser in the corner of my room.
No, no.
Somebody was hiding there. I ran to my mom's room and locked the door behind me. After quietly freaking out, telling her there's a man in the house, she finally believed me and went straight to my phone to call the cops. I put my ear up against the door to try and hear anything going on outside. I eventually heard the man's footsteps come out from my room and slowly come closer to my mom's room until making it right outside the door, then stopping. I could see the outlines of his shoes through the bottom crack of the door. He tried the doorknob.
Dude, that's tough. Oh no. He's gonna come in there and be in a hat. He's like, "Here's Johnny." In that situation, at that point, I would ask your mom. I would ask my mom, "Yo, is there anything in here I could possibly defend myself with? Like, if there is a man outside of the door of the room that you're in, and you don't know who they are, I would probably be looking around the drawers looking for a weapon to use. So if they come in there, you'd be like, and then you knock them out or something. Or you could just go with your fists. Or you could just take a charger and whap them with it. Because those things hurt, dude. Those things sting. Actually.
But thankfully it had a lock. It seemed the lock was enough to persuade him to give up, because I heard him stomp down the stairs and out the front door. I hurried to the window to see which way the man was heading, but he was already gone.
No, not another ad. Go away. I hate ads. They're like the worst thing ever to exist ever. Of all time.
When I was younger, 10 years old at the time, my mom had just started letting me stay home alone. We had been watching my mom's friend's dog while they were on vacation. My mom worked weeknights, so she told me that they would come around back since the dog's cage was right next to the back door, and that I sat in the den by the back door, with the dog by my side while I watched TV. He then started to growl and bark, while looking out the window to the dark. I tried to see what he
Oh! So there's a person over there. If I had a dog, and they were growling and... If I was taking care of another dog, and they were growling and barking at a door or window, I'd be like, "Hey, let me grab that kitchen knife real quick and let's bounce to the room. Let's go bounce to the bathroom. Let's go bounce to my room or something." Yeah, that's not happening. That's the first thing I would think. If there is a dog growling and barking at a window, grab a kitchen knife, grab a pair of scissors, grab anything sharp, and dart to your room. That's what you should do in that scenario.
He was barking at, but it was too dark.
Just bump my
Of
microphone.
course, I assumed it was my mom's friend coming to pick up the dog.
Nope.
I went over to the door with the dog following me and turned on the patio light. I couldn't see anyone out there at first, but the dog was still barking. I made sure to peek at every corner of the yard, but then I saw someone at the garden by our shed. It looked like my mom's friend. They seemed to be bending over, picking something up. I assumed she was admiring my mom's garden or something logical. I then received a disturbing... I prioritized answering the phone, as my mom was strict about me always answering the phone when I was home alone. I left the dog to continue barking by the door as I picked up the phone, hoping it was my mom. And it was. She told me that her friend wasn't going to pick up the dog that night, as they wouldn't be getting home until past midnight.
Oh,
began to stutter as the pure horror prohibited me from speaking coherently. I managed to finally blurt out that someone was in our yard, and my mom started screaming like a lunatic. She told me to get up to my room, lock the door, and hide under the bed while my mom called the cops. I obeyed and laid there in silence for a good 10 minutes, until I got a knock at the door. I sprang up and out of the room, making it halfway down the stairs.
Alright, time to grab that kitchen knife of yours. Yeah, go down there, Walking Dead style, Daryl Dixon style, over with the knife, pointing back at your, like right in front of your face. You open the door, you're like, yo, what you want? Or you just like, you slowly slid the knife out the door. What you want? No, that, you don't. Why? Just why? No, that's my only question.
I sprang up and out of the room, making it halfway down the stairs, when I saw a face looking in through the window of our front door.
Nope.
This face, a
Better
guy
call the
staring
cops.
right at me. A face so unsettling that it disturbs me thinking of it today. I screamed at the guy that the police were on their way, but he didn't move. He insisted on just staring at me like a statue. I ran all the way back upstairs, tripping twice, and back to my room. I waited another few minutes before another knock came at the door, followed by a muffled shouting noise. It was the police this time. They scanned the whole premises, but the guy was gone. They took me into custody until my mom arrived at the station. After that incident, she started having a babysitter watch me again, all the way until I was 12.
Hold up! Ah, go away! No! How much? That's gonna be really difficult to edit out. Oh my gosh. Oh boy. Anyway, so this is the last story of this video.
A long time ago, my girlfriend and I were looking for a private place.
What kind of house are you living in? What is that? What? Look at the win. Oh my. Why? What?
To be alone together since our parents were always home.
Why?
There was a vacant house on
What
the
is
corner of our
that?
block that hadn't been owned for
No.
years.
Yeah, probably because it looks like that. It looks like it was in a fire. There's definitely a demon in there or something, or a kidnapper, or something bad and evil in there. Look at that house.
The back door was always left unlocked. I would know because my friends and I had been in there before. We went in through the back, but before we could even get upstairs, there was a knock at the front door.
Probably the guy's gonna kidnap you or something. Just saying.
We looked at each other with worry. What if someone had caught us sneaking in? She peeked out the window, but there was no one on the stoop. She made sure.
Stoop? Stoop. The heck is a stoop? I feel really dumb. Probably just having like one of those brain farts. Okay, alright. I'm gonna stop talking now.
That the door was locked before turning back to me. I assured her it was just some kids playing ding-dong ditch. We made it only halfway up the stairs before the frantic knocking on the door came back. She checked the window again. The porch was still empty. She opened the door this time, and still.
It's called a ghost. It's called a ghost! Idiot.
Couldn't see anyone. I wanted to look tough to impress her, so I stepped outside and yelled at the pranksters to try it again.
Okay, I can't tell if that was my cat that just walked behind me, or if somebody just like. Yeah, I hate watching scary videos, especially since I'm faced towards a wall, and literally I have a lot of open space behind me. So if I hear like something walking behind me, like a cat or something, I'm gonna like freak out. I swear I'm gonna jump if my cat comes up to me. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna jump so hard. That's definitely gonna happen.
Again. I shut the door and waited behind it, hands on the doorknob, ready to throw the door open. I just waited there for at least a minute. and I was about to just forget about it when I heard the blood-curdling scream of my girlfriend. I turned to see what she was screaming at, and I screamed as well. Just barely in the dark, we could see the silhouette of a huge humanoid figure very slowly making its way down the stairs. It was moving in a hovering-like motion.
It's called a
We ran past
ghost!
it just in arm's reach and left the house the way we came. We ran all the way back to my house, both of us out of breath. We know it couldn't have been an old person. They had to be at least 7 feet tall. Nobody was supposed to be living in that house, though. I even asked a friend living across the street from the house.
Is that
He
fire?
said it had been vacant for
I can't
years.
tell if that's. Oh, it's fire. Alright.
The ghostly way the figure moved made it all the more disturbing. We both agreed to keep quiet about this story.
Hold up. I'm gonna go grab an old friend of mine. His name is Pistol. It's a Nerf gun. Highly doubt my thing actually caught that, but you know, I will fight. If I hear one more footstep behind me, I'm actually going to like scream.
But I still occasionally have a nightmare or bad thoughts about that night.
And that was 4 true, disturbing, and scary stories. So, yeah. Next animation, I guess, then. This next one's called The Roommate Animated, sent in to us by a fellow fan of mine named Spycake Boil Eat Vlogs. And, yeah. We're gonna be reacting to The Roommate Animated. Cool beans. All right. Let's get into it. Ooh, I like the music. I love spooky sounds. Jeez, dude, my cat jumped next to me, and it scared me. All right, I am kind of scared. Just all right. Don't judge me. Yeah, it totally happened.
Roommate is always a daunting task. Even though you interview and take the time to
What
get
are
to
they
know
doing
that
in the
person,
background? Why is the
you
light
don't truly
flashing in
find
the
out who
background?
they are until you start living with them. I had begun searching for a roommate after I decided to leave my current residency. I was contacted a couple of hours after placing an ad on the Facebook Marketplace. The message read,
Okay.
Hey Chris, I'll be moving out of my current apartment this August and I'm looking for a room
Alrighty.
with someone new, as my roommates are moving to California this year. I'm 27 and I'm currently going to school. When I'm not at school, I enjoy hiking and watching movies. I
You
also
enjoy
apprentice at a
hiking?
taxidermy shop on the days I don't have class.
Okay,
Hope
why
it's
do
not
I
weird.
doubt that?
It's always
Hold
been a
up,
fun
hold up,
hobby
hold
of
up,
mine.
hold up, stop.
Anyway.
Pause. Why do I doubt that? I really doubt that. I feel like she's like a murderer or something. Yeah. She's also an apprentice as a taxidermy shop. I'm pretty sure. All right, yeah.
I'm looking forward to hearing back
Hold
from
on. I have to. Hold on. Hold on. All right, children who don't know what a taxidermy is, a taxidermy is the art of preparing, stuffing, and mounting the skins of animals with a lifelike effect. So if you see like a moose or deer on the wall, then the way they did that was by a taxidermy. There you go. That's what a taxidermy is, everybody. The word of the day. Anyways, as I was saying, I feel like that she's definitely a murderer of some sort. Don't know why, but I really feel like that there's gonna be a dead body somewhere at some point.
you. Have a great day, Lunaire.
My first
Okay.
and most obvious reaction after reading the message was to check her profile. She was of medium height, had long, messy blonde hair and green eyes. In her profile picture, I saw her standing with a man and a woman shoulder to shoulder. They each
Probably.
adorned goofy
I don't know
grins
who
and
they
held
would
up
be.
peace signs. Under the photo, the caption read, "Love my roommates."
So
I
they're
smiled to myself
roommates.
and decided to send her a message.
So they're roommates, and my guess is that hold up. I need to like point this out real quick. Why is he being stared at through his neighbor's window? Also, where the heck are your blinds at? Nobody has blinds. Okay, maybe that girl over there might have blinds. But what happened? Why doesn't this guy have blinds on his window? Or something, even though you can't really see the entire window, so there could be like blinds on the top of the window that like go down or something. You know what I'm talking about? But like, I'm pretty sure it's not the what I'm not blinds, curtains. I'm an idiot. Blinds. Did I seriously say blinds? All right. So now that I noticed that, let's oh, what happened to everything? Let's continue
Message
the
back.
video.
The sun beat down on us as we hoisted various objects to the second floor of our new apartment. It took us a couple days to get everything out of the moving trucks and into our new place, but as soon as we did, a wave of relief washed over our sweat-drenched and sore bodies.
Hey there. I'm gonna murder you tonight. She is definitely going to stab him or something. That's what I feel like is gonna happen. Anyways, I'm pausing this way too much. I need to like.
After a
not
couple
pause
more
it
hours
so
of
much.
rearranging, we each grabbed a beer from the fridge.
Oh, did you see that? Hold up. Easter egg.
After a couple more hours of
Look at that. Look at her hand. There's a llama art plushie there. Shout out to you, Llama Arts. Shout out to you.
rearranging, we each grabbed a beer from the fridge and sat on the
Your
porch.
link will be in the
We
description.
reminisced about old 90s cartoons and
Mr.
what
Nightmare.
video games we obsessed over as kids. And as the sun started to set, I truly felt relaxed and confident that things were going to work out. A week later, I started a new job for a construction company that was owned by a good friend of mine. As I was getting ready, I heard the front door swing open. I walked into the living room to see Lunaire and her friend David
Okay.
sliding in a large box. "What you got there?"
Dead roommate.
I asked. Through a strange
I
grunt,
don't
she
even know why I'm
replied,
assuming that.
I bought a freezer to store some of the animals I'm planning on using in my taxidermy work. I hope that's alright.
I was obviously hesitant at first, as there was no mention of this happening in the first place, but I eventually accepted and returned to my room to continue getting ready for work. I came home at around 9 p.m. after having a couple of beers with friends, and
Hold up. At what point at 9 p.m. is it still light outside? Like, in what country, in what part of the world is it still dusk at 9 p.m.? By 9 p.m. it's pitch black outside.
noticed
Even
that the
during
freezer
summer
was
most of the
nestled
time.
snugly in the lower part of the pantry.
I think.
A low
Everywhere.
hum could be heard reverberating off of the inner walls. I was curious to see what was inside, but didn't want to intrude on Lunaire's business, so I went into my room and
What's inside is either a dead corpse or an animal. I'm guessing it's gonna be a dead. Why am I so dead fixed on that they're a murderer? Like, I just had that feeling that they're not good. They're bad. I don't know why I have that feeling. Probably because you met them on Facebook, to be honest with you.
changed into more
You
comfortable
never
clothing.
ever want to meet people on Facebook.
After changing, I came back out into the kitchen and started making a sandwich. I opened the fridge and grabbed what I needed. As I turned around, I stuffed
So you're gonna need. So how do you have one single pickle? What was that? Mayo? Hold up. Okay, that was the water jar and whatever the heck that is in the corner.
I
You
opened
need
the
to get
fridge
some
and grabbed
groceries.
what I
Oh,
needed.
that's not a pickle.
As I
Is that
turned
a pickle? I
around,
can't
I
tell.
stubbed my toe on the edge of the
Ouch.
island countertop and let out a long, exasperated grunt. Through my frustration, I slammed the fridge door shut and checked my toe to see if there was any bleeding. As I raised
Alright, so 98% of the time, when you stub your toe, you're not gonna bleed unless you literally take your toenail and shove it up against a wall accidentally or something. Yeah. It's not gonna bleed unless you came flying at like 2 miles per hour at a like a sharp edge and your nail was positioned at the right angle for it to get peeled.
My
Okay, so
head
we're not
back
gonna talk
up
about
and
that.
was greeted by a
Oh.
shadowy figure.
Oh no, it's a ghost!
Lunaire was standing in the doorway
Oh.
leading to her room. The darkness behind her almost seemed to envelop her.
Is everything okay?
She said in a deadpan tone. Shit, yeah, I'm sorry. I just...
Excuse me. Watch your
slammed my toe into the corner of the countertop as I was making a sandwich. I hope I didn't wake you.
Okay. Yeah, alright. Okay, Boomer. I doubt
It's
that
fine.
one.
She said in the same deflated tone as before. She then turned around and walked back into the darkness of her room. I could tell that she was pissed, so I quietly made my sandwich and retreated back to my room as well, only hearing the low hum from the freezer as I closed my door. I had the next day off, so I was able to sleep in a little longer than usual. When I finally emerged from my room, I walked into the kitchen to make breakfast. As I opened the refrigerator, I noticed that the light wasn't turning on and there was a lack of cold air
power was
escaping
out.
from inside. I turned
shut the
around and
fridge
flipped the
quickly.
light switch to confirm my suspicion. Sure enough, the power was out.
If the refrigerator's lights off and there's a lack of cold air coming out, yeah, shut the fridge as quickly as possible. You don't want your food and stuff going bad in there, Mr. Whatever thing. Alright? Oh boy, there's
Damn it, I muttered
I
under
bet
my
you the-
breath. I
I
walked
bet you
over
a
to
wire got
Lunaire's
cut or
room and knocked
something.
on her door to tell her about the power outage if she didn't already know, but there was no answer. I then remembered that she had classes that day and probably wasn't home. I walked back to the kitchen and past the pantry. As I did, I slipped on the floor but was able to catch myself on the countertop. What the? I angrily exclaimed as I looked down at the floor trying to figure out what I had slipped on. It was blood.
Is that blood? Oh, dude! No, I told you, everybody. I told you. Bad person. Bad.
It started to leak from the corner of the freezer and pool onto the floor.
Oh.
I quickly tried to open the freezer to find out the cause of the viscous liquid, but then I noticed that it had a
Viscous
padlock
liquid.
attached to it. I don't remember seeing that before. I ran out to my car and grabbed my toolbox from the back seat. I approached the freezer and set my tools down on the nearby countertop. I then pulled out a small pair of bolt cutters and snapped through the metal of the padlock. It fell to the ground with a large thud. I creaked open the top of the freezer
Oh,
and was greeted
no.
with a putrid stench that permeated my
Yep,
nostrils.
definitely
I
a
quickly
body.
pinched my nose and walked away gagging in response. I guess I should have realized that was gonna happen, I muttered to myself in between gags. After gaining my composure, I grabbed some gloves from under the sink and started taking inventory. I could see a couple of dead birds and plastic bags wedged into the corners of the freezer. I took each bag out and set them in the trash can nearby. That's when I noticed that the blood was coming from the corner of the larger black bag. I don't know why, but I decided to open the top of the bag and peer inside. I was greeted by large, milky...
Yo! Is that? Hold on, I can't tell if that's the roommate, or if that's his roommate, or if that's her roommate, or if that's just a random person.
white eyes, a swollen black tongue surrounded by cracked and bloated lips, and the matted hair of a human head.
Oh,
I
no.
swiftly dropped the bag and fell backwards onto the floor. My breathing had ceased to exist, and I grabbed the trash can next to me and expelled my disgust into it. I then ran out the door, got into my car,
Yeah, get to
and
the
called
cops.
the police.
Yeah.
As I sat in the interrogation room with a blanket over my shoulders, I couldn't help but think about the face I'd seen. It looked so familiar. That's when it finally hit me. I pulled out my phone and looked at Lunaire's profile picture. It was her old roommate.
No,
But
no,
what
no,
she
no,
said
no,
was
no,
moving
no,
to
no. All right, goodbye, ads.
When the detective entered the room, she started the questioning process, asking me if I started noticing any weird behavioral occurrences around the apartment. Yeah, I stubbed my toe the other day and she creepily stood in the doorway. It seemed like she was pissed, but For some reason, I had a strange feeling like she was concerned about something.
No, you
That's
did
when
not.
I connected the dots. She didn't come out into the kitchen because she heard me stub my toe. She came out into the kitchen because she thought I slammed the freezer instead of the fridge. A cold sweat started to form on my forehead as my surroundings became blurred. I could hear a low whine slowly starting to cover up the words of concern from the detective. As my vision started to clear, I could see another officer enter the room and whisper something into her ear as he handed her a piece of paper. "Do you have somewhere you could stay at?" she asked. "I mean, I was planning on staying with my parents. They live about 30 minutes outside of town."
Smart.
"Okay," she paused. "Listen, I don't want to worry you, but we found this picture inside of your apartment." She slid the piece of paper across the table, and I immediately felt like someone kicked me in the chest. The head of Lunaire's other roommate sat on the chair. In the background, scrawled on the wall in blood, read, "Love my roommates. All of them."
Yo, go away. Oh, dude, that's creepy. Oh, dude, that's amazing, but that's also so creepy. That was the Roommate Animated for you. Roommate Animated. Yeah, so that was a sneak peek of Freaky Friday. Yeah, Freaky Friday. FF, Freaky Friday. Hope you guys did enjoy. As always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye!